there's a lot of designs posted on the internet, but there's no filter. I've been teaching this class at CU for the last couple of years. One of the classes I teach is printed circuit board design, and so I've been looking at in detail at different designs, and thinking a lot about how do I articulate the right way to design the board. What are the best design guidelines for the circuit board? I've done a lot on the principles and how we apply the principles, but now I'm looking at specific design features in the board. And one of the examples that I look at with my class is the Arduino microcontroller. It's the workhorse microcontroller out there that has revolutionized the maker community. It has just empowered literally kids 8 years old to 80 years old to get into building things and making anything smart. It's really easy to use. And I did some estimates. So there are a number of vendors out there that make these little circuit boards, the Arduino Uno R3 version, and there have been something like 1 million of these boards manufactured in the last 10 years.
Wow.
So there are a lot of them out there.
Wow.
And they all use that Mega 328 microcontroller, and as a great micro is 8-bit. It's got some A to Ds on it and a bunch of IOs, and really, really simple, easy to use, but it's still very versatile. Well, the design for all of these boards is the same one. I'm not sure SparkFun created it, but they have provided the design files open source, and most of the boards that I've bought, either domestically or offshore, most of those boards use the same layout as in that SparkFun is open source. And again, I don't know if SparkFun got that design and then just made it open source, or if they created it, but it's a very common design. And when I first looked at the artwork for it, and you can get a board, hold it up to the light, and you can see through it, because you realize it's a 2-layer board, and there are some gaps in the plane. And you look at the board, and there's copper fill on both sides, but it's not continuous. You look at it through light, and you can see the gaps in the planes. And that's always an indication of, without doing any measurements, I can tell there's going to be ground balance problems in that board. And sure enough, we use that board in my class as an illustration of what the signature of ground balance looks like, because it is so prevalent in that board, that it was the design guidelines that were used to design that board was one that is very commonly used, which I think is not a very good design guideline, and it is when in doubt, throw copper at the problem. And that's basically what copper fill is. That there are right ways and wrong ways of using copper ore on a board, and most of the time they're implemented in the wrong way. And so on this board, basically you get the components that you place them on the board. You do the design for connectivity. You route all the pins that need to be routed, and then you say, okay, now everything, and it's not routed on one layer, it's routed on 2 layers, and the traces go back and forth because of crossovers, things. And after the traces are routed, then you do, okay, copper pour on the top and bottom layer, and you say, well, there's copper, then that should be all I need to do. What can be wrong with copper? Well, the design has terrible return path control, and so I use this design in my class to illustrate how not to design a 2-layer board. And here it is, one of the most popular open source designs out there that, and it works. I mean, it's really hard to. It is possible to find an application where the noise that's generated breaks the code, but it's really hard to arrange that because it is an incredibly robust design. But if you use that design as an example of, this is what everybody is doing, there are 1 million of these boards, it must be the right way. If you use the principles that you see in this design of this board to design your next board, that's when you potentially could fail.
Right.